my message today is, that's just crazy. So, the definition of crazy is mentally deranged, especially as manifested in a wild and aggressive way, or extremely enthusiastic. You know what's really crazy? These inflation prices and life now of what we're living. Crazy can be considered bad a lot of times, but let me show you how crazy might actually be good in some occasions. One thing about me is when I first went to school here, I went to Open Bible, if you guys know where it is. So I grew up kind of Christian, and I would be remiss if I didn't give you some scripture. Also, my uncle is a preacher, so hopefully I'm doing pretty well. In Exodus 14, 21 to 29, Moses raised his hand over the Red Sea, and the Lord caused a strong wind to blow from the east. The wind blew all night long. The sea split, and the wind made the ground dry. The Israelites went through the sea on dry land. And when I hear that scripture, I think about it. How wasn't there mud? How did God make the land dry for the Israelites to walk through and not track up any mud on their shoes and track up any of their past? So that story reminds me a little bit in my life about my grandmother. Every time I go outside, little kid, I want to run around and be in the field, play around. I'm dirty, I'm sweaty, I probably have mud in my shoes. She always says, Jalen, make sure you take your shoes off before you come in my house. I never thought about it, I'm a kid. But now when I think about it now, I say, she didn't want me to track up her house with my dirty past. And then it really got me thinking, wow, you have to always move forward and get rid of that dirty past or whatever you might be coming from. So, Eckhart Tolle says, sometimes letting things go is an act of fear. Is a greater power than hanging on. Has anyone here ever carried a burden that they held on to for a while, and it might have held them back from achieving something they really wanted to do? I personally know I have. One burden was I had a confidence issue. As I told you, I went to Open Bible. At the time, I was the only black kid in the school, and I was bullied because I wanted to be in theater, and I liked being on stage and being a communicator. I would be called gay, I'd be called different, and you know what? It hurt my confidence a little bit. So at the time, my parents had taken me out of acting and modeling, and I said, well, maybe it's just not for me. I thought I really liked it, but maybe it's just not for me. And I held on to that a little bit. I got into sports, and that's when I gained some more of my confidence as a young man to be able to excel, working hard, getting out there and putting myself out there regardless of who's in the stands or who's around me. These burdens carried all the way through high school, and it was pretty hard. But then college came, and things kind of grew anew. Isn't it crazy just how something so small and minute can deter you from your possible destiny or from your blessing that's around the corner? So let me tell you about 4 things that I learned along my journey to this day. The first thing is anything really is possible. As I stand here today, I am a second-generation graduate of Columbia College through Highland. Thank you, I appreciate that. My mother was first. And I'm also a first-generation author and entrepreneur in my family. And I really love that I'm able to blaze a trail, not only for me, but for other young folks who may not have had somebody before them to give them the tools to be in entrepreneurship or to be wherever they want to be besides what they might have been taught. Most people, this is a disclaimer, most people don't really like you the way you think they like you. And a lot of times, you don't know that you may not even like either them or the things that you have to do. So, stop caring what others think. Don't be deterred by what someone might tell you or what someone might say about you that you know isn't true. Create your own vision. If you If you take shortcuts, you will never get to where you're really trying to go. So be original. Be okay with going against the grain. Isn't that crazy that if you're average, people say that that's where it needs to be instead of being different? Because we all are created different. Why not be unique? The second thing I learned was run your race. There's no journey is the same as anyone else's. And as we sit here today, all of our journeys has been different. So let me tell you about a story about looking back and never going back, about moving forward and never going back to where you might have been before. So there was a track athlete. It was him and one of his teammates. His teammate at this time was the 100-yard dash and a couple other record holders, and still holds some of these records to this day at Freeport High School. When they went up to the line together, this was a little bit different. For some reason, this track meet, the coach put them two against each other. And so in this meet, when they come up to the line, the one guy says, "Hey, you know it's going to be me and you, right? I'm going to be one, you're going to be two." The guy looks at him like, yeah, whatever, man, whatever. But little do you know, the second guy was the first one out the blocks. So he's running. He's good. He's sprinting. He's halfway. He's still first. He gets 3/4 of the way. Then he starts to look back. And that guy who said he was going to be number one is sprinting right next past to him. And he ends up winning the race. And this guy who came in second said, "You know what? If I would have never looked back, I would have got my goal." And that really talked to me, because if we look back, we can't follow our goals. We can't go to where we're trying to go because we're too stuck of where we were before. So don't compare. Compete and do what you need to do in your lives to get to wherever you want to go. You're never too young and you're never too old or too far from your goal to be where you personally want to be. For me, let me tell you about a story when I felt like I was held back or I compared myself to others. I currently graduated college last year in 2023 for healthcare management at 27. I watched all of my classmates go past me, graduate, get married, have kids. And the best thing I thought I can do at that time was, hey, I got a dog. And you know, sometimes that's just how life goes. But you never know when your journey and your life is really going to start. And as I sit here today at 28, my journey is really starting to get pushing now. So I can't compete to others because that's just not the journey that was meant for me. And you can be the same. And if you take shortcuts, you will be shortchanged. So take the time to move and do the work. Don't be a person that says, I want to do something, but not do what it really takes to get to your goal. Who here has ever wanted something so bad that when it did not come to you, that you got discouraged? Or maybe you said, why God or why not me? You tried for years and maybe something just didn't work. A lot of times that happens to us. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says, there is an appointed time for everything, and there's a time for every event under heaven. Which brings me to my next point. Timing really is everything, and I believe in divine timing. You cannot rush your process. You cannot rush the process because you can fail. Take the time to prepare yourself for the future. Take the time to do what you need to do to get to where you really want to go. You don't reap what you sow in the same season, and you don't grow your plant, and your seed doesn't grow in just 1 week. Rome also wasn't built in just one day. And same with whatever you're building. It may take 5, it may take 10 years, it may take almost your whole life, but that's when your journey really can start. So let me tell you about a story about me personally when I felt like timing was everything for me. So as I told you before, I was a childhood model and actor. At 7, my parent, or no, 7 and 8, my parents had took me out because they said it wasn't for me. And I moved on in life within sports. When I was 16, I was getting recruited for college baseball, but I had just got hurt and I had a concussion. I missed two weeks of our biggest tournaments. I was sad and I didn't know what was for me. Then I got a call from an agent in Chicago, an old agent that I haven't talked to in, 10 years at this point? And they said, Jalen, we want to bring you back for a commercial, but you have to get to Chicago. I had just got my license. I kind of had a car, kind of didn't. It was my parents. And of course, what they say, no, it's not, no. But this time I was a little bit of a rebel. So I say, you know what? I'm taking the car. It was a 2000 Toyota Camry. And I remember it with the nice gray furry seats. So nice. Good on gas too. Take it all the way, I take it. I get halfway to Rockford and it totals out. Transmission blew, it's leaking, and I'm stuck. And I'm dreading having to make this call to my dad to say, Dad, I broke your car that he was gonna give to me. And I'm in the middle of the road because I did what you guys told me not to do. And that was another setback for me that I said, wow, maybe this really just isn't for me. And then let me tell you about another story. When I was, actually last year, I had 2 jobs at one point. I was working as a part-time teacher for the entrepreneurial school, Keynote Entrepreneurial Academy in Rockford, Illinois. And I also was working for a man named Mark Russell in Atlanta, who owns the Client Attraction University, teaching coaches and consultants how to make money online through their coaching programs. I thought I was in a good spot. I'm a salesman, supposed to make some good money. They're flying me out to Atlanta. Life is kind of good. Then we're getting ready for the second school semester. I just did a week of cleaning the whole school, helping out, moving desks, and I get a call from my boss, technically. They say, hey, make sure you make your hours right for this week. This is your last week. Our funding from COVID just cut, and we gotta let you go. Tough. I said, okay, I'm still working online in Atlanta. I got something, I'll be okay. So we move on. And at the time, I'm our top salesman. I'm really not making too much because it's only commission-based, and it's about how many packages you're selling, throughout. On average, you sell about 3, and I don't even want to tell you how much I made. So it wasn't worth it, let's say it that. But I was there, and I was thankful that I had something, and I was growing and learning. We go to the big event in Atlanta. We're supposed to make at least about $5,000. We get back, we make about $800. We get skimped down on our money, and then in the next month, we get asked to do 250 calls a day and really ramp up our work. And I said, I can work as hard as you want me to work, but if you don't change this environment and the system, we're never gonna win. And I feel overworked right now, overwhelmed. That same night I got that Zoom call. Hey, we appreciate you, but this isn't gonna work. Your energy isn't it for us. I said, wow. So that same night, I called my now mentor and CEO of the company that I work under, which I'm the director of media for Density 6, an AI tech company in Houston, Texas. And my mentor is Antonio T. Smith Jr. I had to be remiss if I didn't say his name. And I called him and I ended up getting on his sales team. I met him prior only twice because I was working at the entrepreneurial school and they were connected. I get on, I live life, and now here I am, as I said. And I felt like as I was holding on to something before me, I was blocking my true blessing of where I'm supposed to go and how I'm supposed to help my people in my community. Isn't it crazy that just a young man from Little Freeport who used to get kicked out of school, kicked out of class for talking and communicating is now on stages and being able to communicate and get paid for it and be on TV? I find that very crazy. So the only thing standing between you and your goal is a story you keep telling yourself as to why you cannot achieve it. That is by Jordan Belfort. Sometimes being passionate about something can really make you crazy, but that's okay. Just be crazy. Crazy enough to entrust now that things will happen the way they're supposed to happen. Crazy enough to go against the grain and maybe the status quo of what life has been given to you in your environment. Crazy enough to challenge the people around you, challenge what you've been taught. Crazy enough to make a difference. So I want to leave you guys with 3 things to do, and I'll be out of your hair like some cheap shampoo. Number 1, hug somebody you care about. Community and being together is huge. And I know if you guys are here, you guys really care about the community. And so I appreciate you all. Number 2, try something that you've always wanted to do that you maybe just forgot, you used to love. That could really be your gift. And that could be your thing that would push you forward in whatever, it may be something hard or whatever you might be going through at this time. And lastly, continue to learn and grow. We're here to coincide together. We're here for partnership. Use each other as resources. Remember, we're stronger together. Lastly, you internally possess the power to be whatever you want in this life, but how will you use it? Again, my name is Jalen Hughes, and this is That's Just Crazy. Thank you. So I will leave it up to questions if anyone has anything for me, life, business, anything. Yeah, go ahead.
Jalen, who's your mom and dad?
I get that all the time. So my father is Marshall Hughes, and then my mother is Pamela Hughes. Huh? Yeah.
Really? Marshall's a friend of mine.
Yeah. I'll tell him you say hi when we meet after this. How about you, sir?
What do you do for a living?
Yes, so
Follow that.
I've been in business for 1.5 years. My business is Juicy Visuals LLC, which is a digital marketing, video production, and photo production company. Recently in Rockford, I've been awarded the Platinum winner in photography, videography, video production, and digital marketing. And I'm up in the nominations again for this year. I'm also in the nominations for the, I think it's Best in the Region through the Journal Standard. And I guess on the day-to-day basis, outside of what I do with the business, which, like I said, is digital marketing, photography, videography, and content creation. I'm also the director of media for the tech company of my mentors, which is called Density 6, and it is an AI tech company that is innovating, and it is in Houston, Texas currently. But we are moving to Houston because that's the new Silicon Valley. Yes, sir.
Who are your clients?
Honestly, anyone that wants to get exposure and wants to make a lasting impression in memory. There's a lot of times where I go to an event where they're like, look, we're having this. I know you know what to do. Just make sure you get this part or this part and make it beautiful. And when I do my job and I commemorate that event or that celebration or that love for somebody, it tells a story and it brings a light to somebody. One thing that I love what I do is I get to tell a story through film or picture that we all might be able to relate with if it's the right story, regardless of what we look like or where we come from. Yes, sir.
So you sell an identity on the internet?
In a way, yes.
I want to be on the internet. I want to be viewed as such, and you put together the video and put it on the internet.
Video, your whole marketing program, media press releases, the whole spiel at this point. I definitely have made some commercials for some people here. If you remember, Munchie's here in town. I made a commercial for them. I'm working with some new people. I did a commercial for this gym in Atlanta and a couple people in Rockford. So yeah. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Where can we see your work?
So you could.
Gallery?
I'm sorry. What was the last part?
Samples or a gallery?
Yes. So I have a creative portfolio that I can send anybody. It is digital. Where you can also see my work is you see on my speaker sheet. I have the QR code. You can see my socials through there. And I have business cards for you as well, where you can see everything when it comes to my business. And then also my authorship outside of this. I'm currently an author of a trilogy series on personal growth and development. And I just signed a new deal with a new publisher in Reno, Nevada. So now my 4th book should be coming out at the end of this summer, which is kind of like my first legacy book on entrepreneurship, and it's teaching other entrepreneurs the 20, I think, most common things that we're all gonna go through. Perfect. Anybody else?
All right.
Perfect. Thank you guys.